the person that used to like you.
Right. And this is where I have everybody right now. If your schedule changed or your friend signed you up, take a look and just let me know if something is not right, because we need to make sure all those spots are full. Brief meeting after church right here today. If you're helping and you need a schedule, you have questions, you want to know where it is you're doing what, 5 minutes, and then we're going to start decorating. So if anybody is able to stay, even if it's 20 minutes, we have lots of little signs and things that need to be hung up that are easy. Just kind of hang out and wait for instruction. And we'll see everybody tomorrow.
Yeah, and definitely, if you're not involved and you're thinking, what will I do this week? There's a place for all of us. I'm going to come by tomorrow and fill a gap wherever that gap is, and I'd love for you to join me. Maybe I can be your helper, so that'd be good. And as we come off of that experience, next week here in the church, we'll be having a really great party. Is that right? Next Sunday. I mean, it's going to be a huge party here. The children will be doing our worship service as the youth are doing it today. Very unique. I think it'll be a great experience. We have the leadership for that event that's going to really bring us a musical extravaganza for the Sunday morning service. We'll have a normal kind of service out in the park at 11, but our 9:30 here will be the children. And you'll drive up, and if you're accustomed to parking on the lot on this side, the kind of lake side of our building, that will be all blocked off because there's a huge party we're throwing after worship, kind of in between the two services. So there won't be parking there. So if you're able to park a little ways and walk, please do it. And but please do not stay away simply because you'd have to come a distance. This lot will be completely open, our large lot. There'll be space to park up on the grass on this side to kind of take a little of the pressure off. But we just want to really support our children next week and be here for them and root them on. Having followed the VBS program will be great. So, gosh, can you believe it? The kinds of things that are happening in our midst. It's pretty wonderful. Yes? Yeah. Yeah, you mean the big party afterwards. There's going to be ice cream. The women are doing an ice cream type social thing. The men are doing cookout kind of stuff, right? And there's going to be the big blow-up bouncy houses and stuff. So if there's a kid in this neighborhood that has not yet heard, take that responsibility on your shoulders. That they have another church, great. You know, let's just support all the kids in the neighborhood. And if they don't have a church, great, because we have an opportunity to change some lives. And you know, sometimes it's the little kid that shows up here first and brings us moms and dads along. So we kind of look forward to that. So let's all work together. We're all missionaries. You've been missionaries sending us someplace, and now this week we'll be missionaries here in our local community with VBS. So any other announcements or things that need to be held for community moments? Well, let's take a moment then. Let's say hello to our friends and neighbors, and I'll call you back in a minute.
I am, but I'll use that up there. But we'll add that to the wherever it is we're sitting.
Opening prayer with Anna.
Yeah.
I'll give her this.
love to visit with each other. They love to get to know each other. They love to celebrate together. Because family and friends are what's important down there. When you have nothing else, then that's all you can draw on is your family and friends. And isn't it wonderful? Even though we're so blessed, we're also blessed with great family and friends to fellowship with. As we start our service this morning, we want us to join together and sing a song called "I'll Fly Away." And many of you probably know it. It's a great song. It fits so well with Appalachian culture. And Kelly's been so kind to play her mandolin to accompany us. And so I invite you to stand as we sing "I'll Fly Away."
Okay, same like. All right, you can bow your heads. Okay. Dear God, thank you so much for getting us through this wonderful week and keeping everyone safe, and everyone sounds like they've had a great time. Thank you for all the people who helped us make this trip possible. Also, thank you for letting our Westwood and Georgia friends also join us on this trip, and also the Westwood people who joined us today. Keep your name, and thank you for everything, and amen.
We want to invite our children to come down to the front, down here to their time at the front porch with Autumn.
All right, guys, let's move down to front of the thing.
Autumn doesn't want you to knock it out of her head. Come on down the front.
Come on, guys. Come on, let's go down here. Let's move down here. Come on, guys. Okay. Okay. So how many times have you ever gotten in trouble somehow? By like hitting your siblings or doing something that you're not supposed to. Well, Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and those are sins. And while we were working in Tennessee, there were a couple of houses that had drywall and they needed mudding. And how I look at it is though, however many times we mess up and we do things we're not supposed to, God always forgives us, and He always puts new mudding over all our damaged drywall. Yeah. Okay. So, join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
It's a time for us to share our prayers together this morning. Prayers both that the kids might bring to us and prayers that we would have that are here a part of our lives here in the Muskegon area. What prayers do we have today that we hold up? Yes. Okay, for Inez, who's having surgery this week. What day is that? Wednesday. At Hackley. Thank you. Yes. Okay, your sister-in-law. What's her first name? Nadine. Let's keep Nadine in our prayers. Who else do we hold up? Who else is in our prayers today? Yes, Dick. Oh my. She's functioning at this point. So we have a friend's wife that's had a major medical crisis, and they're out in the Philadelphia area. Let's keep Kathy in our prayers. Who else? Yes. Yeah, the military.
We found out, I got a call yesterday from my neighbor, Bernie Halverson, and I thought he'd gone someplace to escape the heat, but he went to the doctor last week, before you guys left on your trip, and they ended up admitting him to the hospital, and he's had some complications with those.
Wow.
So he's in kind of rough shape, and he's all alone, so he just needs some prayers.
Let's keep Bernie in our prayers following these medical issues. Yeah.
I just want us to lift up in week 7. We were week 6, relay race. There's another crew that'll be traveling into the center today, and that staff that has to finish that out and close out their week. So let's remember them.
Absolutely. Thank you. Other prayers that we hold up. Yes. Okay, let's be with Diana in prayer. Yes, Linda. Excellent. Yes. Keep you in our prayers too. Yes. Jim lost his brother, so let's keep that family in our prayers. Jim Greener. Yes, George. Let's keep the Evans family in our prayers. Who else do we hold up?
Well, if I could, I'd like to continue that with the Estes family, the family that we barely got to know while we were down there, but I just extend that to all the families that are being served down in Tennessee, that this week, as they close out their summer with crews, that they felt God's love, and that you know, they've got lots of challenges, and just prayers for David and Sean and Killian and Cheyenne and the other families and their challenges.
Great. What other names you guys remember to hold up? Palmer. Homer Wise. Elgin Holt. Anybody else that you remember from your cruise? Yes.
No, I don't, our family. Donnie, Andrea, and Mason.
Mason and Riley and Dawn Andrea? Yeah. Savannah? Yeah. Other names you'd hold up from the week? Anybody that you met this week from the other part of the crew that you want to remember in prayer? Larissa? Okay. Hilda? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Any other prayers? I think we're going to sing a special song for our prayer song today, aren't we? It's the first time I've worked with a crayon. Who's here in the front row?
Adapt and overcome, that's what it's all about, right? Well, we're going to take and we're going to sing a song called Sanctuary. Many of us know it, I think. It's so often the prayer song during ASP. And we're just going to sing it through and help us to prepare our hearts as we go. We're going to sing it through how we call it as we prepare our hearts for prayer. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Precious Lord, hear our prayers. As we come to this place today, we are somehow, many of us, different from what last week has meant in our lives. Meeting someone new. Letting go of something of ourselves. Serving. Listening. Cooperating in a team. Cold showers on a hot day. Sleeping poorly. Lots of noise. Lots of friends. New friends. A renewal of friendship. kindness received and kindness shared. Lord, the list would go on and on and on. We are so thankful for these young people and those who were with them. We're reminded that they can lead us, that the fresh way that they look at life and the ways in which their lives can be molded and changed, Lord, it is no different in potential for all of us, and yet we so easily find ourselves in a place that we've created over a long time, Lord, just when we pray, remold and make us. Help it to be a sincere part of our testimony to you, remold and make us. Lord, hear our prayers for others that we've held up this day, because life does not stop when some go away. Lord, hear our prayers for the joys of life, a new child that is here in this room. Hear our prayers of joy for the things that are happening with Vacation Bible School and will happen in this room and this building and around this place this week. Lord, there are so many things for which we give thanks. Hear our prayers. Amen.
This next song that we will be playing is a song that was played quite a few times, it seems, throughout the week. So it was quite a fan favorite. So if you would join us in singing, that would be wonderful. You may stay seated if you would like.
Never Mark 10:41b through 45. But whoever wishes to become great among you, be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you must be slave of all. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. The word of God, the people of God.
So we want to give you a little background. If you've managed to not know yet what ASP is, or if you're here for the first time, or maybe you've been around a while, but every time you ask one of our youth, what is ASP? What is this thing that you guys talk about? You might just get the answer, oh, it's the best week of my life. It's a life-changing experience, but maybe you'd like to know a little bit more about how or what it is. Appalachia Service Project is an organization that serves the underserved in Appalachia. The goals, stated are to make homes warmer, safer, and drier. The way that they go about doing that is they enlist the help of youth from all over the country, and each group that serves with ASP during the summer moves in for a week to a center, we call it, and serves in a home for that week. It's this year now, I think all the centers are 7-week projects. In the beginning of the summer, they have the hard job of home selection. Every year they get far more applications than they will have crews or resources to work in. But homeowners or residents can apply for help from ASP. And then if you're the person in the home, you realize that you're going to have your house inhabited almost by at least 5, maybe 7 people every week, a different group every week, with the idea of at the end of the summer, your home is warmer, safer, and drier. What then happens is while we are working on that, we're pounding nails and putting up drywall and taking down drywall and screwing up drywall, as we said many, many times, it becomes more of a relationship ministry. Our saying is it's a relationship ministry with construction on the side. That's what ASP is all about. It's about serving people where they are in their homes. So the general structure is if you're week 1, you're starting. If you're week 7, you're wrapping up the work in that home for the summer. But each crew of up to 7 people is together at one work site. Then they live, sleep, eat, play in one building all together. Our whole group shared a center with our friends from Kalamazoo and with another church from Georgia. ASP leases a different building in each county that they serve, oftentimes a school, and that's where we sleep. And it's a great thing to sleep in a school, in a gym, or a library, on your cot. They're very comfy. The fans, very loud fans. So that's a bit about how it works. That's what ASP stands for, and I wanted to give you a little bit of that background to clear that up a little bit, to give you an understanding of what this thing is we're here talking about. It's part of our vision with our youth group. This is our 3rd time that the J team, the Jesus team, as you've heard us call our youth, they came up with that name. This is our 3rd time serving with ASP, and we had a lot of returning veterans from our first time. We had a lot of returners that started last year with their first time, and it's going to go on. This isn't something we do 1 year or 2 years. This is what we do. This is a big part of what makes the J team what it is. So we thank you for your support, and we ask you to continue to do so and learn more about it. Ask these guys. Ask somebody in a green shirt today. Ask them to tell you more about it. We're going to tell you a whole bunch more here in a minute. We're going to sit on the front porch, like some of us got a chance to do. We're going to see some pictures first, but we're going to be on the front porch sharing our hearts, and I would just ask you to just be ready and catch some of the excitement.
I've got all these plans piled up sky high, 1,000 dreams on hold, and I don't know why. I got a front row seat to the longest wait, and I just can't see past the things I pray today. But when I fix my eyes on all that you are, then every doubt I feel deep in my heart grows strangely dim. All my worries fade and fall to the ground, 'cause when I seek your face and don't look around any place I'm in, grows strangely dim, dim. Sometimes where I stand on this narrow road is in a raging storm or a valley low. But oh, when I fix my eyes on all that you are, then every doubt I feel deep in my heart grows strangely dim. All my worries fade and fall to the ground, 'cause when I seek your face and don't look around any place I'm in, grows strangely dim, dim. I don't know what tomorrow may hold, but I know that you're holding it all. So no matter what may come, I'm gonna fix my eyes on all that you are, till every doubt I feel deep in my heart grows strangely dim. Let all my worries fade and fall to the ground. I'm gonna seek your face and not look around, till the place I'm in grows strangely, strangely, strangely
We'd like to invite you up to the porch, please. And this porch is open to everyone, including our friends from Kalamazoo, which is great to see some folks. Yeah, we need a bigger porch, but I will say that, you know, the front porch has always been kind of that symbol of the gathering place for folks in Appalachia. It's always been one of those, my house is going to have a front porch when I finally retire to sit on a porch. But Kim and I have some questions for you, and you know, we had a porch. We didn't really have a porch at our center, but we had a stoop at the front of the school, where we gathered in the mornings and gathered in the evenings, and there was some great conversation and joke telling and storytelling, and some phenomenal music. Thank you, Kelly, for your part in that. And you know, so we did have a front porch experience there at our center. But we're going to talk a little bit, and we've got a microphone to pass around. Okay, we're going to, and we honestly could talk for the next 2 hours about this, but we won't do that for you. But with each question, if there are a couple of people that would really like to respond to it, I'd really appreciate you raising your hand and sharing with the congregation you know, what you're thinking and feeling. And I'd like to start with raise your hand if this is your first time. And I guess my question would be, why? Why did you go? What was it that you saw, heard, and I'm going to start with Linda, I'm putting her on the spot.
I knew you were going to do that. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Linda Curry, and you probably are wondering why on earth I went on ASP, because I don't have any children, and I'm not a youth leader, and it's because of the youth. I sat right where you've been sitting for the last 2 years, and I heard the stories, watched the videos, I saw the excitement in these youth, but really what I heard and saw were youth and leaders touched by God. And I said to myself, you know, I want to be touched by God too. I want to be a part of that. So you youth are why I went on ASP this year. And I have to admit, here's confession time. Because you probably don't know, my entire adult life, I've never been around children. And so you guys kind of intimidate me. That's confession. But I think you are all amazing, awesome young people. And church, don't ever stop supporting them. So, I don't know, do you want me to finish my Touched by God story?
Were you?
Here's a lot of God lessons. And actually ASP does a God moment at the end of the session. Well, I went on this because I wanted to be touched by God. And boy, was I ever. And Jim's going to tell you a little bit more about what our site was like. But God places you where you're supposed to be. And before I went, Wayne Halpin knows this, getting on and off of that roof, boy, that was the scariest thing for me. So I had this thought, and I said, oh, God, please don't let me be on a roofing crew. Well, I was on a roofing crew. But there was a reason. God placed me in one of the most beautiful spots I've seen in my life, and he placed me with a godly man. Our homeowner, being with him was being touched by God, and he taught me a very important lesson one day. It was rather hot down there. Jim on Wednesday was not feeling well. So he was in the car trying to cool down, and the other group leader and I went immediately into, what are we going to do mode? Should we call 911? We're making these plans. Should you go back with Jim? Should we stay? Should we quit? Who's going to go? What are we going to do? And the homeowner came out of his house, and we told him, I said, Jim's not well. Okay. And he's sitting in the car. So the homeowner looked at the three of us that were still on the ground, and he said, have you prayed? Well, with embarrassed look.
It was till just now.
Why don't you switch that one out, see if we maybe had a little problem with that.
With embarrassed looks, Matt Knudsen and I said, no. So the homeowner is the one who huddled us in a little group and said a beautiful prayer for healing for Jim. And it reminded me, and was a huge lesson, that not always put God first in your life, but with everything that you do, go to God first. Before you start making those decisions, pray and put Him first. And Jim's here today. Obviously the prayer worked, and I was with a godly man.
Well, you heard that Linda was inspired by some of you. How about one other rookie that would like to talk about why they went? Joe? You're being nominated by your sister.
The past 2 years, Anna's gone on this trip, and she came back home and told me all about it, and I sat in the seats, and I heard all them talking about it, and I really wanted to go. And Anna said it was the best week of her life, so I thought maybe I'd try it and see what it was. And she was right. It was the best week of my life, so.
Yeah, we were blessed with some older siblings that have challenged and invited and brought along younger siblings and moms that joined us for the first time. So thank you, rookies, for joining us. By the way, as of Monday morning at 8:02, you are no longer rookies. So you get to help others. So it's your job is to recruit other rookies for next year. Kim, you had a question?
I do. I think that maybe the picture spoke a little bit for this, but there's sometimes a misconception, I think, that when youth go on a mission trip to work or to do some type of home repair, that they do a lot of painting, and kind of surfacey stuff. I would like to see if there's a few people that would be willing to share a little bit about their construction project that they did, some of the work that they did. You might be surprised. I know Aiden, where'd Aiden go? You said you'd be willing to talk a little bit about that?
On our crew in particular, we had a double crew with Kim and Nick as two group leaders and Doug Wood as our group leader, and Dawn. Hey, Dawn. And Sue. Where's Sue? She's not here. We had a particularly, I think, a lot of ground to cover, basically. So we were a double crew, and we ended up doing a lot of drywall, a lot of flooring. There was subfloor already laid down. We just had to put tiles on top of it. There was a bit of painting near the end, and particularly in the back, there was a small, what do you call it, an addition to the house that was basically it was up against a mountain in the back of the house, and it wasn't really well connected, and weeks prior they anchored it well to the mountain. Beforehand it was held up by like scrap wood, really dead wood, old tree stumps and stuff like that, and weeks prior other groups got to rebar that into the mountain, which was something I would have really liked to do, but we didn't get a chance to. But there was a lot of other stuff that had to be done down there too. We had to connect the mountain side and the house side together so it was anchored in better. So out of all that work, I think we definitely made that place a lot safer and warmer and drier too, but particularly safer. Where we started, we had a very tight space to work with. There was a lot of cutting drywall, and in these Appalachian houses, there's nothing square. It's closer to circular, or flush, and it is very, very frustrating to cut a piece of drywall and put it there, and it's probably not going to fit your first time. And a lot of trial and error with that. But I know in the kitchen that it had to be redone for, I don't know what particular reason. We were in the other side of the house. But it was like 4 people in a very, very tight spot against the door at the bottom of the stairs, working, trying to fit drywall. There was a lot of teamwork, and it was a lot of problem solving. But we finally were able to do it, and we got some insulation in there, and it was a lot warmer, and it was a lot aesthetic, pretty. It looked very aesthetic.
Kim, I'm going to give my microphone over here to Jake and George, and maybe they can talk a little bit about the hot project that they had.
The first thing that I want to do is say a thank you that these folks let an old guy hang out with them for a week. And so I really appreciated that. This was my second time going down. I was hoping that we would get some electrical work, because that's what I like to do. But we did roofing, of course. And we were a team of 6, had a great team. Floyd and Maggie from Kalamazoo, and Maggie's mother, and Jake and Justin. You probably saw the picture of some of them on the roof. This is a very interesting house that we worked on As I say, this family was going through a lot of suffering, but they were very hospitable to us. The one teenage gal was with us the whole time that we were there, really enjoying our friendship, and we enjoyed hers. Anyway, this is about a 100-year-old house that had a number of additions added onto it. And in the back, the roof was leaking pretty badly. They had a lot of water coming down into their kitchen and dining room. And so the first day we spent tearing things apart, trying to find out how the water was coming in. This back roof there'd been a roof there, and then they had laid down OSB and more shingles and more tar paper over top of the existing roof, except in this one area. And we ended up stripping out that one area. There were really rough 2x6s that they had sheathed the roof with underneath the shingles. They were all bowed up and were causing all these lumps on the roof. Lots of holes in the fascia and soffit around the house. Lots of wasps to deal with. We had a good time with those. But anyway, we had a great crew on the roof. We got that stripped out. We saw, at least we think we identified where the water was coming in, and we went back, resheathed everything, tried to bring it up to the level of the other roof, got that all covered up. We did some step flashing, around the gable end of this house. We tried to fix the fascia. So we had lots of things going on. And then last day we were in the house taking down the water-soaked insulation that was in the ceiling and putting new insulation up and putting up new ceiling tiles. So in a nutshell, that's what we had to do. Not the electrical job I'd planned on, but we were really blessed. So, thank you.
Jake, maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the challenges of that. George just kind of described the project. What kind of challenges did you find in working on that roof?
The hardest part about rebuilding the roof is, like Aiden said, nothing's square, as well as everything's warped. So we had rafters that we believe, I think they were from the original house. It wasn't, they didn't have, trusses or whatever, and every rafter tail broke off the end. It was basically being held up by the shingles and the OSB that was there. And when we tore that up, we almost started to fall because the end of the roof was falling off, and so that was a big deal, and we had to sister all the rafter tails on. And there was, we really didn't know where the leak was coming from, so we pretty much put tar around everything on that roof that would possibly be a leak. So I had a lot of tar under my fingernails, and Becky Fairfield loaned me some fingernail trimmers while I was down there, so that was nice. And so it was also rough because it was about 90 to 95 degrees on average with only one day of overcast, I believe, and so it was just beating down, lots of sunscreen, and we were just consistently sweating. There's no stopping, so it was a tough week, but it was fun.
I love that. A tough week that's fun. Go ahead.
So I was in a group with Elizabeth and some other people from this church.
Jake, would you do me a favor and stand up so that people in the back can see you?
Yep. And so we had to build a ramp, and then we went to another house and did underpinning for their trailer to keep the heat in and the air conditioning in and whatnot. But the ramp was our big project, and that took us most of the week. We had to dig holes in the clay and gravel and put in posts and stuff. And the group before us didn't really do everything square. They kind of stuck to the Appalachia ways, and so that wasn't too good. And so we had to work around that and try to fix a few of their mistakes. But in the end, it was pretty cool. We got to build a ramp, and it was really, really nice at the end to see it done and get to walk up and down it and see how happy the homeowner was. And then the other house we went to, we did some underpinning, and we got to cut the boards or the panels and put those up on the house. And we finished the front side and then ran out of paneling for the back, so we didn't get to finish the back. But the owner was really, really happy when she saw the front done, and she came out and she was crying and said that she never thought her house could look that pretty, so that was a really cool experience to see how we got to change their lives.
Can I just point out for a minute, how many of you have really heard youth use the words underpinning, sister, rafter, tails, and actually know what they mean? How many of you don't know what those things mean? These guys are awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say that. We picked up things like OSB and VCT and, a language that they didn't have before they went down. I've had a couple of people mention their families, and, we always hope going down that family experience will be a positive one. It doesn't always happen that way, and I know for our crew, we struggled because our family was gone for 4 days. They didn't show up till Friday, so Friday was Monday to them, and they didn't know us, and it was really difficult. They were very tired, and so it made me miss that idea. Although we did get to meet Larissa, who is a homeowner's sister, who essentially served as our hostess and all week long. But we've heard a couple of impactful stories about family members. Are there any other family stories that you would like to share?
We were at a site. The driveway was literally a quarter-mile long, like this. The fun part of it was, one day as we were starting to go down, his wife is coming up. A woman backing up, or us guys backing up? Us guys opted to back up. We were still on the concrete, and she was still on the gravel. And there's about 6 inches of clearance on each side between his goat fences. This goat owner had 40-some goats, but the homeowner himself built his house himself, carried all the material up the mountain by hand. He poured 200 yards down the mountain by hand. He's 73 years old now. He's had 2 open heart surgeries, has brain cancer, and he's going blind. But this man was such an inspiration to all of us during the whole week. He kept us pumped up. And it's something that we said that had never been done that I'm aware of. Friday night, we had to be back in time for our group circle. But we got permission. He wanted to take us out for pizza. We came off the roof at 4 o'clock. We met him at 5 o'clock in our grungies at a pizzeria, and he bought us pizza that night. He insisted on that. There's another story that goes along with it. I have to tell this story. He came down one day in this red leisure suit. This is what he was courting his wife in 40-some years ago. His wife hates that suit, so he could only put it on while she was gone. During our Friday night circle, the leader from Kalamazoo Church made a comment. God wears a red leisure suit. That's what that man meant to us. Every day when we had our group hug every day, and we prayed every day. And he would join us and sometimes lead the prayer. But this man was just phenomenal, and how he touched my heart and the rest of the crew's heart, and I know Linda was really touched by him. I had 2 14-year-olds, my grandson and an adopted grandson, as I call him, that went with us from the other side of the state. They are going back again next year. That man touched them so much. Doug, you want to tell the story about the hat, please?
Well, somebody's going to have to follow up on this one because I can only tell you the Walmart part of it. Jim's grandson and Dylan, his adopted grandson, came to me in the middle of the Walmart. These 2 14-year-old young men. They were so touched by their homeowner that they wanted to buy a gift, and it was going to be a personal gift. And I thought, I was struck by it because these young men came up and said, we want to buy him this straw hat. So when he goes outside, he's protected from the sun. But what we want to do is we want to sign it, and we want to put a scripture verse around the rim. And I'm going, who are you guys? You guys are 14-year-old boys. How do you come up with ideas like this? The fun part of it was, and I'm going, what a great idea, guys. That's super. Go do it. He goes, can you give me the money? Oh, okay, all right. We'll cover that. But it was, what I got to hear the story the next day was that the homeowner will not be wearing that hat. He has hung that hat in a prominent place in his house. Now you got me doing it. And I just think it's one of those special moments that only these guys can come up with. You know, we can't conjure up that kind of love. So and Kelly was gonna also share.
All right. At the house I was at, we had a double crew along with Becky and Joe and Riley, and Brian was on my crew. Our family consisted of, who we first met was Darlene. She was an elderly woman. She had a hard time hearing, and her husband, his name was Homer, and he came home, I believe, Wednesday. He was in a car accident a few weeks ago, and so he was at physical therapy for quite a long time, which he admitted to us that he hated, and he loved being home, which was really nice to hear. And they had a son, Andrew, who was 22 years old. It was really cool to get to know Andrew. He was really helpful, and he was explaining to us all these things that he really liked to do. And on Monday, he just was kind of hovering and watching what we were doing, and he noticed that we kind of left a few things at the house. And on Tuesday, we came back, and the whole bathroom that we were working on had complete drywall, and he finished building the wall that we had started. And our group leader, Tom, had pulled us aside and explained to us this was one of the things that ASP really likes to do, is show families that they can do these things on their own as well if they feel like they can have the confidence. And it was just really cool to see that after all the weeks of people being there, that he felt that he could even work on his own home, and that he just had the ability to do so, and that he got to help in the project. It wasn't just sitting back and watching. And after that happened, Darlene also really wanted to help with like the priming and everything. And alongside Andrew helping us with that, he also helped Becky come over a little bit of a fear. Andrew had 2 snakes. One was an Egyptian python, and the other one was a boa constrictor, which in a few pictures you got to see us holding the boa constrictor, which snakes are kind of weird. But Becky touched an Egyptian python. Okay, she poked it and then she ran away, but she touched it. So Andrew was quite a big help in more ways than one throughout the course of the week.
Thank you, and thank you for being patient with us. Kim has one last question that she wants to ask, but what I'd like to do is there are some faces up here that might not be familiar to you, so I'd like the folks from Kalamazoo to stand up for a minute, and I'd like you to give them a Community United Methodist Church welcome. Thank you guys. One of the real blessings has been the partnership that we've had with Westwood United Methodist Church down in Kalamazoo, and we really appreciate them coming up and being part of our service today, and hopefully we'll be able to send a contingent down to yours when it's your time. Kim.
We do have a final question, but first I want to give Anna a chance to share a little bit about her crew.
I was on a crew with Pastor Phil, and then 4 people from Westwood. We had a double crew with Georgia. I'm supposed to tell Gail that Pastor Phil ate healthy oatmeal cookies for lunch instead of chocolate chip. So just to let you know. He told me to tell you. Okay. We had a double crew with Georgia at a house, and they had a bunch of small projects, and we had a big ramp to build that was 24 feet one way and 21 feet the other. We had to build the platforms, and that was not easy. On Monday, we had to dig holes in like 95-degree weather. It was very, very sweaty and hot and hard work. And the Monday, we only got like 2-3 holes dug, and Monday night we were thinking, oh boy, this is going to be a long week. But after Tuesday, we had the whole first platform done, which was awesome because that was a huge accomplishment for us. We went in there, and Pastor Phil and I were from community, and our crew was a lot of fun. We had a 15 and a 13-year-old, and then me and Addie, and then our older group leaders, Phil and Clint. And Clint is like a hard-working construction guy, and Pastor Phil is a fun, talkative guy. Our water breaks that were supposed to take about 3 to 5 minutes ended up being 20 minutes because Pastor Phil would tell stories. But it was a really fun week, and Pastor Phil and I got really tight, and we're buds now, so that was awesome. One of the things you'll hear if you start asking any of us about our week at ASP, there are a lot of traditions that go along with this experience. And for some of us, we've only known about the traditions a couple years. Some of us were learning, just this week. Some of them, I think, came along from our partner church in Westwood, in Kalamazoo. Some of them, I think, are much more far-reaching than that. But we want to share with you a little bit about some of the traditions that make this experience what it is. And I didn't warn you ahead of time, Michaela, but there's one that I know you mentioned before that really touched you. So I wondered if you would start this out and tell us about a tradition.
Now, at every time when we had lunch at 12:34, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah. Every time at lunch at 12:34, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, we'd have hug break. And even though we're all sweaty, dirty, covered in dirt and everything, we'd still give each other hugs, and we'd still eat, and we'd still love each other. And then after that, we'd get back to work.
Other traditions, other things that you'd like to speak to?
My personal favorite, and it's not a super spiritual tradition, but ice cream every night. We go to, hold on, it's fellowship, so I guess it is, but we go to, we try to find a local ice cream shack, and they tend to serve more than ice cream, and my personal favorite is slaw dogs, which are hot dogs with coleslaw on them and like all these crazy toppings, and I don't know, I've tried about everyone at all the places we've been, so and everybody else's ice cream they didn't finish, but it's just a blast. And Anna has one.
This is just to add on to Jake. If you didn't finish your food, you gave it to Jake. He's like a personal garbage can for our group. Or Aiden.
Dear Becky, do you have any traditions that you've enjoyed this year? Love, Doug.
Dear Doug, the one other tradition that seems to be pretty prevalent is anytime that we hold hands, we interlock our fingers. And the weaknesses down here are covered up with the other person's strengths, which is their fingers. So you're covering up the other person's weaknesses with your strengths and vice versa. Love, Becky.
Thank you. Would anybody like to talk about what that's all about? I know Linda had some thoughts about that.
There are a couple of traditions on the way down and on the way back, and this is my first year, and the love notes on the way home were just cool. And they start out, Dear Doug, da-da-da-da-da-da, blah, 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 love Becky, blah, 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 and then this keeps going. And you should hear the amazing things and the love notes that our youth gave each other and the leaders. I just sat back in the car and listened to these awesome kids. And then, you didn't know that there is a DJ amongst our midst on the way down.
Dougie Ray on WASP.
WASP is on the radio. We had walkie-talkies. And Doug is got another career in the future. But he does this radio show, WASP, and he interviews people, and they tell stories of their ASP experiences. It's quite awesome.
Yeah, the walkie-talkies are, without them, the caravan wouldn't be the same. It's a lot of fun. So, who else?
I don't know if you guys heard us talk about, but we don't, warm and fuzzies. On Monday, or you hang up a paper, like a lunch bag kind of thing, and you hang it up on the wall and you put your name on it, and throughout the week, other people in the center write warm, fuzzy feeling notes to you. And I mean, you can read them throughout the week, but like I particularly like to save mine until the drive home on Saturday. And they're tearjerkers, let me tell you. They're so, like, they make you feel so warm and happy and fuzzy. And cold and pricklies are not allowed. They're all happy notes. And that's just a tradition we have at ASP as well. And is that, can I answer another one? You're good? That's not another one?
Another tradition is that every year on our last night, Friday night, we do like our cry circle and everything, which is too much right now. To explain our God moments throughout the week. But also the staff members kind of give us something to remember the week that we did. I know in past year we've made bracelets and everything, and this year they had us write on a t-shirt our God moments. And it was a bright neon t-shirt, and they cut pieces of it out so we could make bracelets, we could make anklets, necklaces, or apparently giant rings, which I didn't see any of those. But a lot of people really went with the bracelet idea, and it was really cool, just a way to remember the week by.
I think hopefully you've seen some of the enthusiasm and what we brought back and what they were all given. And, well, looks like Anna has one more comment.
If you're on Sunday morning, the whole group, we all go to Waffle House. And we all order, and it's awesome food. And if you're a rookie and thinking about going next year, it's a tradition that Doug pays for all the rookies, so you'll get your breakfast paid for by Dougie Fresh.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say, but dear church, thank you so much for your support of this project. It is really growing and taking off here, and we just so much appreciate your support. And if you're interested in being part of it, if you'd like to come along with us next summer, see Kim or myself, we would love to have you with us. And I guess I would say love us. So thank you.
You'll notice as the Gabby one, I didn't say anything. We'd like to have the ushers take our offering, and they're just going to keep it in the back today. So if we'd get the ushers to collect the offering, that'd be great.
ASP kind of has this thing where we really like to listen to Disney music. And on the way to ice